Hey, hi everybody, my name is Flask and I'm a volunteer with the Girl Scouts of the Green and White Mountains, serving Girl Scouts in Vermont and New Hampshire. Today we're going to talk about the clove hitch. I'm going to show you what the clove hitch looks like, tell you how you can use a clove hitch, and I'm going to show you 7 different ways to tie it, which seems completely unnecessary, but a lot of fun. So a good knot is one that's not too hard to tie. It does the thing you want it to do, and it comes pretty easily untied. So what you'd use a clove hitch for is anytime you want to anchor a rope to any stationary thing that you're going to be pulling away from. That could be this dowel, it could be a tree, a post, a carabiner. This is a really handy knot for camping because say if you wanted to put up a clothesline or you were hanging a dining fly, you could anchor your line with a clove hitch on one end and put a tightening knot on the other and pull that nice and tight. It's also handy if you are a boater, because if you come into dock, you tie a clove hitch, you toss it around the mooring post, do that at the bow, do that at the stern, and boom, your boat is moored. It's also a handy knot for climbing. It's used by rock climbers and arborists. You can just tie one and put it onto a carabiner. I maybe shouldn't have to say this, but it seems really important, so I'm going to say it anyway. I am not a climber and I am not a climbing instructor, and only a qualified climbing instructor can teach you how to safely use these knots to keep yourself and others safe. That said, let's get into it. So this is a clove hitch tied around a post. And you can see it has the 2 parts of the rope that run parallel to each other. And it's got an X that goes across both. And you can pinch that together and make it real pretty. And if you tie that on something that has a lot of friction, it's not really going anywhere as long as it's under load. But when it's not under load, you can loosen it by pulling on the X and the whole thing comes undone. Or if you've tied it on something and just put it over, you can take it off the same way. I'm going to tie it onto the carabiner so you can see what it looks like on the carabiner. Because it has that shape to it of the circle and the X, and in the X, one leg comes on one side and one leg comes on the other side, and that's a really important shape. So let's tie it. You're going to take a loop and you're going to take another loop with the same hand motion. If you use the same hand motion on both loops, you're going to end up with these 2 like mouse ears, and one tail is going to hang on the side toward you and one tail is going to hang on the side away from you. And you just take the loop that has the tail toward you and tuck it behind the other one, and you get that shape. 2 circles with the X tails on opposite sides. And you can just drop that around your post. Boom, clove hitch. I'm going to do that again so you can see it again. Loop, second loop, and then I'm going to put the one with the tail toward me. I'm going to put that behind, and it makes that shape. That's the clove hitch shape. So here's another way to do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to turn it so I get a loop, and then I'm going to turn this the other way so the tail hangs on opposite sides. And then I'm going to take the one with the tail toward me and put it behind. Recognize the shape again? Boom! It's a clove hitch. But Flask, you're saying, what if I can't reach the top of the thing I'm trying to tie it to? What if I'm trying to tie it to a closed ring instead of a carabiner with a gate? I got you covered. I totally got you covered. We're going to pretend I can't reach the ends of this dowel. So I'm just going to toss that over. I will toss it over again. And there's my X. And the next time I come around, I'm going to put it underneath the X through here and here. I have to hold that with my thumb. And there's my clove hitch. Parallel lines and the X across it. I'm going to do this again so you can see this. I'm going to toss it over. And I've made an X. And when I bring it up the next time, when I bring my working end up, I'm going to put it right through here, through to here. I could even lift this up to make it easier. Right through. It's gone under the X now. And when I pull that tight, I have a clove hitch. So there's another fun way to tie the clove hitch. It probably happened so fast you didn't even see it. Did you see me make the loops? Okay, so the trick to it is instead of making the loops with my hands, I'm going to hold my hands so that when I untangle my hands, the loops are already made. So to do this, you're going to hold the rope with your hands crossed, your palms down, your thumbs out, and pay attention to which hand is on the bottom. And if when you do it, you forget which hand you had on the bottom, you can always cross and uncross them. So I've got them, I'm held, my thumbs are out. When I uncross my hands, oh look, I have the loops. And then I just take the bottom hand and put it behind. And there's the shape again. Goes right around the post. And boom, there's a clove hitch. I'm going to do that again so you can see how that went. Hold my hands apart, my palms down, my thumbs out. I'm going to straighten my hands. And then I'm going to take what was the bottom hand and I'm going to put it behind. And there's the shape. I'm going to put it around the carabiner this time. You can do it really quickly if you're good at it. It's kind of fun to do. So, what if you have a rope, you need a clove hitch, but you're busy, you're holding on to something else? Can you still tie a clove hitch? Why, yes, my friend, you can. I'm just going to do this real quick for demonstration purposes. There's the clove hitch, and I can put it right around my post. Boom. So you can make a fork with your hand, and you're really going to catch it here and here. You're going to do that. And then you're going to get the cross by bending your elbow up. So that's where your cross is. And then you're going to fold your hand down and not grab it here. Because if you grab it here, an interesting thing happens. If you grab it there, you get a different knot. You get a munter hitch, which is a useful knot for climbing, but it is not a clove hitch. And it's really importantly not an anchor knot because a munter hitch moves. I'm going to catch it in the fork. I'm going to turn my elbow up to make the cross. And then instead of just coming down and grabbing it from the front, I'm going to twist my arm around a little bit and grab it with the back of my hand. And that's going to put an extra twist in it. So that when I grab them together, let gravity do its work, let that fall apart. There's my clove hitch shape. And speaking of my clove hitch shape, If we go back to the loops, you know that I have to put one loop behind the other. But what if I put the wrong loop behind? What if I take the loop with the back tail and put it in the back? Well, it looks sort of alike, but when I let go of it, there's no knot. And what if I do it again, but instead of putting the front tail one in back, I just fold them together? Oh, it's our friend the munter hitch. So when you're doing this, you catch it in the fork. You turn your elbow, so there's your cross. And instead of just flopping your arm down, you're going to bring your arm down and then catch this with the back of your fingers and bring it up. And then just close your hand around your thumb and your fingers and let that fall out. And there's your clove hitch. Boom! And if you want to be a real smarty pants, you can just tie it with a couple of fingers, which is a great party trick if you go to the kind of party where they like rope tricks, which I do. So you grab it with your pinky, and there's your cross. And then to grab it with your index finger, you have to reach down and grab from the outside, from your thumb side. And that gives it the extra twist. It's going to look like that. And then you just take your index finger and your thumb, you make a little pinch and shake it off. And there's your shape. There's your clove hitch. Isn't that crazy? So you got your rope on your thumb, grab it with your pinky, come all the way around to the outside with your index finger, and there's your clove hitch. You want that slowed down, right? You grab it with your pinky, and then you could grab it on the inside with your index finger, and if you do that, you're going to get a munter hitch. So you're going to grab it with your pinky, and then you're going to come around the outside of it. Grab it up, that puts an extra twist in it, and you're going to put your fingers together and just shake it loose, and there's your clove hitch. So the seventh way to tie a clove hitch is one that is popular with sailors with if they need to pick up a rope off of the deck and make a clove hitch to tie something up. And they only have the one hand. It's kind of a neat trick. Took me forever to learn it because it turns out I was trying to learn it with paracord, which is not floppy enough. So I'm going to show you what it looks like on the table. I have a length of just cheap nylon braided rope, and this is how you pick up the clove hitch from the deck. And there's my clove hitch. I expect you probably want to see that slowed down. So you take it palm up and you make a loop. And it's really important that this crossing is on the top. And it's also really important, this is why you need a floppy rope, that this part here is here. Because if you make the loop and it goes like that, it's no good. You have to have something to do this next part with. And you're just going to take this end and you're going to fold it over. Not fancy, no tuck, no twist. You're just going to fold it over. And when it does that, it's going to cross here and it's going to cross here. But the crossing you want to pay attention to is right there. And if you pick it up there and you let gravity do its work, let it shake out, you get a clove hitch. I'm going to do that again. Flip, flop. Here's where I grab it. And that's clove hitch. And you can do this without even letting go. and then put it over, just as long as you know where to pick it up. That's the clove hitch 7 ways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I hope you've had fun. I hope you've learned something. And if you don't get it right the first time, remember, you can always keep tying. I never get sick of that joke.